Welcome back, guys. This week we'll talk about
the journeys from 6 months to 6 years to 16 years. Hi, I'm Matt. Parenting is hard, but do you know what? I've got some questions.
And I'm Dan. Maybe I've got the answers. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Ramblings of Dad Man. I am Dan. I had to think about that one. Joined again, as always, by the birthday boy this week, Matthew. How are you, mate?
I'm very well, thanks. I didn't think you was going to introduce me there since you said Ramblings of Dad Man. So
I said Dad Man? Dad Men. Wonderful.
Yeah. I thought you were just going to do a half an hour monologue today. Just like crack on with yourself. I thought I got a week off. Yes, I'm very well, thank you, and thank you for the birthday greetings. Much appreciated.
Good. Do you have a good one?
I did. I worked Monday and Tuesday. Tuesday was my birthday, and then I got a surprise to say that my work's been booked off for the next 3 days, and we're off for a little hot tub lodge in the back end of nowhere, which was nice.
All right. You're getting a promotion. Was that your boss who's booked that off for you?
Well, she is the boss. So it kind of counts, doesn't it? But she already did it. She'd already spoken to my boss. So she booked the annual leave. And yeah, just it all went like that. So we spent a couple of days. Just I mean, it was Wales, but it was barely Wales. It was only an hour away from here, but in a really nice 2-story lodge in the middle of nowhere with just a hot tub, Bulmers cider, Quince gin, which is a recommendation. Give that a go. And yeah, it was just a bit of a nice, quiet 2 days. Florence didn't come with us. She had school. Oh, well, she didn't have school, but we can get into that a little bit later on. But Robin did. Robin had a great little time. And yeah, so it was just a nice little week. And this weekend has been just getting back to the hecticness as it is. I'm sure you know, sometimes it's more of a rest being at work, isn't it, with the kids. Today we went to a festival of sorts over in Appley Bridge, which is where Becky's from, and it's called the Duck Festival, which I've never heard of before. Basically, it started off about. Sorry.
You have to duck to get in.
Oh,
is it like really low ceilings?
Oh, well, I mean, that makes
all this is sense. Going over your head. That's probably because you were ducking.
Over your head, see.
Fucking hell, I've got to get one in there.
No, I mean, this is a little bit worse, to be honest. Well, no, it was pretty good. So about 6 or 7 years ago, a few women from the Rotary Club or some sort of club decided that they will try and have a little competition of themselves, and they would get rubber ducks and they would race them onto the canal, and whoever got there first wins a prize. Fast forward a few years later, now there's 2,000 entrants that do it, and they just swim these rubber ducks through the canal. Wow. Unfortunately, where we were sat, they decided that they were going to shorten the course. So, in true Doyle style, we didn't see any of the race.
Good.
So, but and also the fire service had to get called out because there was no current in the canal. So they called the emergency services to spray the hose pipe in the canal to try and get a bit of a current.
Wow.
So maybe that's why it was cut short. So we saw fuck all, but plus we had a good time. A bit of a fairground, had a bit of a picnic. Pretty good. How about you? How's your week been?
You know what? Just busy with work. There's a lot happening there at the minute, but I've decided. Oh, I say I like I've made the decision here. We both know, and everybody who's listening knows that I have had zero input into the decision making here. I've I am decorating every fucking room at once. The house.
Yeah.
So like today has been sanding, painting, fucking air glossing. It's the worst job in the world. Don't mind like emulsion and painting colours on walls. Glossing's like my number one pet peeve. It's the fucking shittest. It stinks. And when it gets on a wall, you can't get it off. You can't clean the brushes. Whoever invented gloss wants fucking off it. Like, worst job in it. But the proud moment today, did joinery as well. Like,
Wow.
yeah, like some little architrave around wardrobes. So, like, go me.
Well done. Well done.
I've got some wallpapering to do during the week. So, proper handyman.
Bit of a win there. Wallpapering. Oh, do you know what? I despise wallpapering. That's a job that I can't do. However, my mum absolutely loves it, and she like every time we want to redecorate, she's like, "Oh, can I come around and do it? Can I do this? Can I do that?"
Yes.
Absolutely, Karen. You go ahead. Like,
you know what, Laura? I recently found paste the wall wallpaper.
Oh yeah. So yeah,
absolute fucking marvel.
So in my last house when I moved back from Manchester into Wigan before me and Becky we were kind of a thing, but anyway, in the house when I lived on my own, that's what I found, the paste the wall wallpaper. That makes a job like 20 minutes. That makes the job so much easier, doesn't it?
Yeah. I now actively tell Beck that she can't have specific wallpaper unless it's paste the wall wallpaper. Turns out the wallpaper we've got is proper wallpaper. You've got to paste it on the fucking wallpaper.
So. I once had a friend. Well, I still have a friend, and you know who you are. She decided she was going to redecorate her bedroom or house and paid £75 for a roll of wallpaper.
Fucking hell.
So I think it was, she had got many, many rolls of wallpaper for that. But do you want another irony?
Well,
didn't end up using it in the end.
Wow.
Oh.
I just don't get it. Like, why would you pay so much money for just like? I mean, I get you're looking at it on the wall and all that, but it's just a lot of money, isn't it? Like, you can get.
It is, but everything's a lot of money, isn't it? Like,
true.
It's just one of them things. I mean, the wallpaper's good.
The only one thing that has happened this week, we have officially got our Instagram back, and that is important because my Rebecca is a weapon, and I don't need to pop in that. So some people may or may not have seen this going through over, people logging in over the last couple of weeks. Instagram have now forced this check to make sure you're over 13. Fucking useless, because all you're doing is just selecting a date of birth again. So anybody can just put, 1st of January 1971. Great.
Apart from us,
Apart from us, where Rebecca thought she was cheating the system by putting today's date in. So then it asks you, are you confirmed that you are 0 years old? Yes. Your account is now blocked because you're under the age of 13. What a dickhead.
It's very difficult. We managed to get it sorted. I think it's been sorted today as of recording, isn't it? So
yeah,
we are back online now.
Let's just say she's not allowed on Instagram anymore.
Yeah. Stay off the stories. Oh, well, so next week is a bit of a landmark week for us. Robin turns 6 months next week plus a couple of days. She turns 6 months on the 29th. And do you know, we just thought it would be an idea to talk about our 6 month journey, but then also if we could talk about what is ahead, like what's the milestones, because obviously Fossey's a little bit older, but she's also a couple of years younger than Georgia, and just we coined it as 6 months to 6 years, and of course obviously we've got Callum as well to 16 years. These are all milestones that are happening, and we've just wanted to to talk about, I guess, the leaps from them, and just about how what else do I have to expect, I guess, in the next 6 months.
Oh, a fucking raft of hormones. You fucked it. No, I mean, obviously, yeah. So, the difference between that 6-month-old and a 6-year-old or 5-year-old and, a 16-year-old is worlds apart. It's bizarre. Like, if you think you're a parent just because you've got a kid, you can't just say, you've got one particular parenting style. And that's something I've learned over the years. I definitely act differently towards and around Georgia than I do with Callum. And I think we've discussed this at length before about different parenting styles. So if you haven't listened to that episode, fucking stop what you're doing, pause this one, go and listen to that, and then come back to it. I don't know which one it is, so you're going to have to listen to the entire back catalogue. Thank you.
Yeah.
I agree that it's different. I mean, I think when we were talking about that, we were talking about a lot of the firsts. So like first Christmas, first birthday, first Father's Day, first, laugh, things like that. I think as a little checklist, you've probably gone through a lot of those firsts.
I tell you what was the first today.
Go on.
First time Robin has thrown up all over me. Like, and not just a little bit of milky sick, proper vomit.
Full projectile. Nice.
All over my lovely white t-shirt.
Never wear white when you've got kids, ever.
Yeah, I need to follow that rule. Yeah, so Robin was fast asleep and started hearing some crying. And Becky was like, "Oh, quick, just go tap Robin. Let's try and get her to sleep. She likes like the low of her back or a bum being tapped, and she likes going to sleep to that." I got into the bedroom. She was already rolled over and with her head nice and high, arching her back. I'm like, "There's no way she's going to sleep right now." So I picked her up. 1 burp, 2 burp. Sick all over me. Brilliant.
Nice.
Yeah.
I actually have a picture of Beck. So she's lied on her back, and then Georgia was on her stomach, so like sort of looking at each other. And Georgia was sick all over Beck, but the way she was lied, it basically like covered her neck, and then it was just everywhere. And I did the right thing. I pissed myself and then took a picture before I helped her up. I still have that picture.
Yeah, we didn't get a picture. It's probably one of the first pictures I did think about taking a picture of the t-shirt, the offending t-shirt, but I decided no, that would probably violate some guidelines somewhere, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of first, we've had the first laugh. We talked about that last week. We're having a lot of first things, first kind of foods. I mean, she's not eating. Sorry, no. First it's coming out, and you can tell that she's teething, and she's taking it like a trooper because she's not really crying that much, although in fairness it's not come out. You can feel like the hardness of her gums and a little bit of white coming through, but there's nothing there yet. She's kind of sitting, I mean, she's not sitting up properly, but she'll sit up for like 10-15 seconds before she falls, so she's getting a balance. So a lot of first, that's kind of where we're up to. She's got, apparently she's in leap 5 now, which that means that she's now to start in understanding relationships. So mum is the favourite, shortly followed by me, and then she'll notice when we're not in the rooms and she'll start getting upset, unless The Walking Dead is on, and then she's fine. Which we have obviously talked about a couple of weeks ago. 260,000 views, I think that has got now. That's ridiculous. Like, that's amazing. But yeah, so we've having a few little things. I expect teething and sitting to come next. Is that right?
Yeah, probably. I mean, she might learn to talk and tell you to go fuck yourself soon. You've not
Yeah.
got that many firsts left. I mean, the other firsts really are going to be like first steps. And I think Georgia was about one. And we actually tricked her into walking. Ironically, on the duck thing, she was wearing a blanket that was in the shape of a duck. And she thought we were holding her, but we'd wrapped the blanket in a way that it felt like we were holding her. And she just
Right.
walked. And oddly enough, we were on holiday in one of those lodges. Not
Oh,
the
wow.
same one, but the similar type of thing. So I remember exactly. So, like, you've not many firsts to come. I suppose you're going to move on to those leaps where she just develops. One of the big things is probably, obviously, you've had the first Christmas, technically, but the first time that she's aware that it's Christmas or a birthday,
Yeah.
that's going to be a while off. I reckon it was like George's second birthday before she actually, fully realised that there's a lot of huzzah around her. And then she started noticing like balloons and things like that. And she knew that there was a lot of people there and started getting a lot more excited. So, from then, and you know what, it's only really the last couple of years, and you'll probably see this now with Flossie, that there's more appreciation at Christmas and that build up to it. So you've still got a few big milestones to come,
Yeah.
but
And
it's not firsts, if that makes sense.
yeah, and I know what you mean. And yeah, we've said that it probably won't be until next Christmas that Robin starts to realise when she's because she'll be 14 months. Obviously, she had her first Christmas this time, but obviously she doesn't know what it is. Maybe next Christmas, obviously this Christmas she might be walking, or so there'll be a little bit more. So that'll be interesting to see. Maybe she'll start opening the presents. But I do know what you was mean about Flossie. It took her, well, maybe the first Christmas that I spent with her was probably her first Christmas where she fully understood, but I'm not 100% sure on that one, to be honest with you. But yeah, I get it. It does take a few more years when Father Christmas been to visit, and it's a bit of a nice little treat, I guess.
Yeah. And you can use
that's
that.
Exciting. That's stuff to go ahead.
Yeah, you can use that to your advantage.
For the sherry and the mince pies, or
well, yeah, there's that. There's the selfish rewards. Like, he only wants single malt whiskey at Christmas, but like, behave, or I'm going to ring Santa.
Oh, do you know what we've got at the minute? And I don't know how cruel it is, but bedtime can be a bit of an issue at the minute. Nothing bad, nothing that you can't handle, but there is a nice little video on YouTube, which is basically where you have a conversation with the police about this person being naughty and going to bed. And it's like do you remember the old prank phone calls that you used to buy from a magazine?
Yes, some fucker got me with one of them.
Yeah, it was exactly like that, and it works like a treat. So have a look at that.
But I convinced Callum that the guy who lived at the top of the street was a policeman called Bob.
Right, okay.
I knew if he'd go out, like, he used to play football at the front, and I'd know if he'd go out the street because Bob would tell me, and he was constantly watching to shit himself. And I completely forgot about that. And then a couple of years back, he remembered. He was like, we needed the police for some reason, forget what. And he went, why don't you just go and speak to Bob at top of the street? I'm like, fuck you on about? That guy at top of the street, he's a policeman. Went, oh, shit. Yeah, no. That was just to make sure you didn't go out the street. No, he doesn't exist. So be careful with your lies.
Yeah, you could have been like, Bob. Like, did he not figure out Bobby?
I didn't even figure that out.
Yeah, no correlation to that. There must have been some sort of subconscious thing going on there.
Probably.
But yeah, so Flossie, we talk about leaps in terms of, and we have talked about her maturing and going on and progressing through that school, and we said where you're going to see a big difference. And you're totally right. We have seen a a massive difference in Flossie this year. But also it's really interesting to like think about what Flossie's got ahead, I guess, and you can give us that experience with Georgia as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think again we've discussed this before, so we're going over all ground a little bit, but like they'll go through different stages. So like Georgia's going to go through a stage where she's going to leave the infants, and over summer she's going to then start into the juniors, and then she's mixing with kids who are 11, 12, or around that 11 mark, who are going to be preparing for high school. So you've got like a couple of big jumps, like reception, year 3, year 7. They're all big jumps because you then you've worked your way up to being a big fish in a little pond, and then all of a sudden you're a small fish in an even bigger pond. And Georgia's got that to come, and I think we'll see a bit of a change in her behaviour because she'll be a bit more mature, and the things that she'll like playing with, will change. Like stop playing with dolls and things like that. I think Flossie's probably, she moves out of reception into year 1. We loosely discussed this before, but she's going to go into more like structured learning. Like there is a massive difference from receptions, and I don't want to belittle anybody who works in reception at all. All teachers do an amazing job, but reception's more like structured play. Like it's you're learning through play, and there's little tidbits of learning. Whereas year 1 is more sat down and structured learning. So she'll spend more time at a table, more time focused on a teacher teaching a specific topic. So you may see a change in attention span, perhaps.
I mean, that sounds like a positive change to me. Yeah,
it will be.
Did Georgia like that attention span? Did you see a change with her, like from that leap from reception to year 1, like? Because Georgia,
it's hard to pinpoint because a lot of Georgia did was through like sort of COVID times. So there was a lot of homeschooling, home learning mixed in with all that. So she sort of grew up through a lot of that, and then a lot more personal, intimate time with, like, not intimate's the wrong word, but like one-to-one with the teacher because there were fewer kids in the class.
Do you think that affected a difference? Because I mean, obviously, COVID has had a massive impact on everybody, but for Georgia or for school kids at that age, especially, because that's where you kind of learn to socialize. You learn so many other skills at school that you don't realize. Do you think that had affected her, or do you think it was a little bit different because I don't know? You had the advantage of living with Beck, who's really experienced, working in schools and stuff like that. What
I think the first lockdown, again, exactly what you said. The first lockdown, all of us were very, very lucky to have Beck there, who's got that experience. And it was just used. She did a lot of the homeschooling, and that was very good for Georgia. She still got that learning experience. But then as we went through the different phases of it, she was in school, but there weren't as many kids in school. And I think she still got the school experience, but because there weren't as many children around, there wasn't sort of 30 kids all swarming a teacher. There was maybe half that many because, people weren't allowed in for whatever reason or were isolating or whatever. There was always some kids off. They got a bit more of that one-to-one or a better quality of teaching, I think.
Yeah.
So that I think helped, and now she's back into things are normal again. People don't even talk about COVID anymore, do they? It's all about whatever the politicians have done and broken rules, and Brexit's not a thing anymore.
Monkeypox, that's a new thing, isn't it?
Monkeypox is the new death syndrome. Yeah. Hold on.
I really haven't read anything into monkeypox. Maybe I should. Like, what's it? That's for a whole other podcast.
Yeah.
And
That's the Fearful Diseases podcast coming soon.
Catch it on.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
And then like that 6 months to 6 years of 16, like focusing on Callum a little bit, he's going through a bit of a different development now. Like he's just finishing exams or going through exams, and whatever he does next, whether it's jobs, college, whatever, he's going to jump again into a different role. Like my role now is more mentoring rather than doing stuff for him. You should be like guidance almost. He's going to get more responsibilities for himself, legally. Now he's responsible for a lot of things because of his age. So I don't know, that he's at a different stage. Georgia will ultimately hit that at some point. Flossie will, but there's many different growth periods in between that. And Robin will, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think the next big step, if you will, or big thing for Callum, I think, is probably going to be if he ever decides that he wants to go on like a lad's holiday, something like that. And that, in my head, he's still a kid. Like,
yeah. When do you say yes, that's fine? Because you think about the things you were doing when you were 16, and and you think, well, do we just have to do it in a controlled way? I guess that's the thing you do, and
the world's massively a different place than where it was when we were 16. I get that. But again, like you said, like what were we doing when we were 16? We were rushing about in Fiestas, chucking each other in car boots.
We were. Yeah, we were.
That was fun. Another story. But I don't know. I think I'm just going to have to try and put myself back in that position when he starts doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I was an idiot, so were you. We were idiots together. We were even more an idiot when we were together.
Yeah. I think the thing is that if you can kind of have that relationship where you're like, look, just be honest with me. If you're gonna, don't say like you're going to fucking your friend Ben's house when you go into, I don't know why the first thing I had in my head was Zante, but Liverpool. Do you know what I mean? Like, it'll be just a good idea to know where you are. Then I can.
Yeah, and we've got that respect and relationship that we're open and honest. That if he makes a mistake, he owns up and admits to it. He doesn't need to hide it now, and I think he's still learning that he's responsible for his own stuff, and if something goes missing, it's on him now.
Yeah.
You're not going to get spoken to the same way as if, say, Georgia lost a tablet or something like that. It's a different style of parenting.
Yeah, of course.
When did you go on your first holiday? Just out of interest. Like
without parents, I was 18. So I had, so the first time I went abroad was when I was 15, I think. And I didn't go with my parents, but I went with my friend and his mum. And then I went on a bit of a lads' holiday when I was 18, to Spain. So I was relatively young, but it was something that I did when I was 18. I'd moved out. I'd went to uni by that time, and I went with some friends from uni. Would I have gone when I was 17? Probably not. Would I have gone when I was 16? Definitely not. But it's different. Like people go when they feel ready, I guess, and it's about that maturity. Was I mature to go on holiday on my own when I was 16? Absolutely not. I'd have lost everything. Like I would. I'd have ended up in the embassy somewhere saying, "Please extradite me to home." And that would probably be, yeah. Yeah, I don't know who I am anymore. So it was 18 for me. I felt that was a good age. I was responsible enough. But that was also embedded by the fact that I was already living on my own, so I already, I had them skills. And I mean, if Callum does decide to go to uni, you pick them skills up very, very quickly. So I guess that it's kind of when he feels ready to do that. Just going back a bit, how about his exams? How's he prepping for them?
Really well.
Or how are you helping to prep for them, should I say?
A bit different, I suppose. There's no easy answer to that. I'm just making sure that he is revising. If he wants me to help him revise, I will. But that's the only thing you can do. Like you can't be forceful. That's the thing. Like, you can't force them to revise. If they don't want to learn, they're not going to learn.
Yeah.
Same with anybody. But it's just making sure that he understands the importance of the exams, and that he respects that he does need to revise to the purpose of it. He's been really good with it. He's been revising. He's been on top of it, and he did that for the mocks earlier in the year. So yeah, it's different. Like with Georgia, she's just sat through some SATs.
Yeah, well, I was say, yeah, so she would have had a level 2 SATs, were they?
Year 2 SATs.
Yeah.
And so that was, again, a different style of preparation. Here's some spellings, right? Let's work through them. Sit down. How do you spell this word? And, and then it's just repetition. So there's more of a hands-on approach, I suppose. Flossie will hit that in a couple of years. It's just working through like fractions and things like that, sums and maths, and making sure they're prepared for it and they understand the basics. Whereas, as they get through to like GCSEs, I mean, my parents didn't help me revise. They sort of left me to it, and I did my own revision and got decent enough grades to get into a good college. So
is GCSE bite size on BBC still a thing? That's how we used to revise, and that was a massive thing back in.
Yeah, I remember like 2:00 at morning one day, just thinking, I don't know how to revise for this. Oh, I know what. Let's go on BBC bite size.
Exactly right. And I remember doing my science on there because I did double. I think we all did double science for a thing. I think it was you all had to do double science for us.
Yeah.
And I was really worried about one of the science elements as well. So I remember spending, longer than usual on science, just because there was 2 subjects that I really, really struggled with. One was science and one was maths. Maybe that's why I'm so creative and thing. And on the maths, I studied so much, but I bottled it and I did the lower paper because I was like, if I just at least get a C, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
But with the science, it was the same.
It's even worse now. They offer triple science to the ones that they think are capable,
really?
Which is like even more intense. But conversely, opposite to you, my weak area was always English.
Yeah.
That was notoriously my worst area. I was really good at maths and science, and to be fair, I ended up doing all right out of all of them. But it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. Right, well, I think that's enough rambling for this week.
That's a lot of waffle.
Thank you, everyone else, for listening. I hope we got a bit out of it. Thanks a lot, guys. See you later.
See you next week.